Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. If you're a parent, you've probably said, quit the baby talk, but experts say you should be the one talking to your baby. Here to tell us why, we welcome back professional writer and mom of two, Grace Gallagher. It's so nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Tell me about your journey with baby talk and babbling, as all of us parents do, right? We kind of find ourselves speaking nonsense sometimes.
Yes. So the reason I got curious about this topic is when I had my son 3 years ago, I knew I was supposed to talk to him all the time. I had read it in books, and I was prepared. I'm a talkative person. I was like, this will be no big deal. So I was kind of surprised when I brought him home from the hospital and I was alone with him in those early days about how unnatural it actually felt talking to him. You know, they don't give you much. They don't even smile then, so it can feel very much like talking to a blob. But I knew it was important to do so. I remember learning that babies' brains double in size in that first year of life.
Wow.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah.
And so not only does hearing your voice help them with language development, but it helps foster security and connection and just general bonding feelings.
Yeah, so many benefits.
Totally.
So let's talk about some of the science, because this has been studied quite a bit, that babies who are actually talked to, right? You're actually trying to, they're not going to talk back, but you're sort of being engaging in the conversation.
Right, so there's a lot of research on the topic, but there are two things that I want to highlight in particular. So the first is that there's a study that shows that babies, like you said, who are directly talked to, so not overhearing adult conversations or listening to the radio, but included as much as you can include a baby, they tend to have larger vocabularies by the age of 2.
Wow.
And one of the things that's interesting is that the research found that babies who were involved in adult-initiated conversations, so when their caregivers sort of struck up a conversation out of the blue, they showed particular language development in the area of expressive language, which is words we use to describe how and what we're feeling.
Wow.
So like, if you've been around a 2-year-old recently, you know like a lot of their frustration stems from not being understood.
So true.
So having this language to express their feelings may help a little. They're still gonna have tantrums, but.
I was gonna say a big benefit to parents and caregivers for kiddos to be able to express themselves more clearly too. And I think we talk a lot about that age range of 0 to 5, but even 0 to 2, it really is incredible how much development happens in that time span.
Oh, totally. And then the other study that I thought was interesting is that babies who are involved in conversational turn taking, so let's say they coo or make a sound, and then within a few seconds their caregiver responds with a word of their own, or even just mimicking the sound the baby has made, they showed greater verbal comprehension as much as a decade later.
Wow.
So I share that because it was helpful for me when I was looking at my infant being like, I'm not really sure what to say to you.
Yeah.
To think, okay, but imagine him as a 10-year-old. Maybe what I'm doing is going to have long-term gains.
There you go. That's a good way to frame it. So you have some really practical tips for us to incorporate this into our routine, like just narrating what you're doing during the day.
Yeah, exactly. I think it can be daunting to think, oh, I have to say something interesting, or it can be as simple as just narrating what you're doing. I'm turning the light on. I'm going to change your diaper now. You don't have to get deep. And one way to build on that is to get very detailed with your baby, more so than you would with any adult.
Sure.
So maybe one day you say, okay, I'm pouring coffee, and then the next day or 3 hours later when you're having your next cup of coffee, you say, I'm pouring this extremely hot cup of coffee into my favorite red mug. Research shows that babies don't actually have comprehension of meaning until about 6 months, so you're not going to overwhelm them.
Okay.
They just, you know, they're going to be exposed to a lot of words. Another thing to do is read aloud. I think a lot of new parents find that accessible. They have the baby books.
Right.
It's, you know, a little less brain power. And in addition to reading the words, you can just narrate what's going on in the picture.
Yeah. Look what that bear is doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at this
door.
ping pong game we're reading about. I don't know, whatever is happening.
Exactly. And then another thing I like to tell parents is if you find yourself slipping into that baby talk, it's totally fine.
Right.
I think a lot of parents put extra pressure, like I have to talk to my baby as I would another adult.
Yes.
And that's really not the case.
Yeah, and then thinking about talking about your day and maybe plans you have too. That's another way to insert some vocabulary.
Right. Here's what we're going to be doing. Here's where we're coming from. Here's who we see. One of my friends shared a strategy that I thought was really clever. She said that when she wasn't sure what to say to her baby, she would complain in a very neutral tone. So she would say things like, the dog is driving me crazy. They won't stop barking. Or I'm feeling nervous about going back to work in a few months. And she said it was cathartic for her, and also she didn't run out of things to say.
I was thinking too, as new parents, sometimes if you are home with a newborn, it can be pretty isolating.
Yes.
So maybe just having that conversation continuing, even if it's one-sided, it can mimic some sort of social interaction.
Totally.
Well, then what about as you're out and about too? I'm thinking about going through the grocery aisles and kind of pointing to things that you see. That could be helpful as well?
Yes, definitely. It's funny you say that. I just took my 8-month-old to the grocery store recently, and she was in the cart for the first time, and it was so fun to like watch her see everything and narrate what was going on in the store and what we were buying and why. I always like to say too that parents don't need to stress about talking all day long.
Right.
I feel like it can be so exhausting and you're tired already, and it can be very overwhelming. And so it's really not about constant chatter. It's about finding glimmers when you can insert these kind of strategies. And then it's totally fine to have periods of silence or podcasts or background noise.
Yeah. Keep it simple and approachable so you can incorporate it in an easy way for you and your family. This is great stuff. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, great to see you. Okay, we will have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.